The Calgary Flames show that they are still active sellers with this huge report on Jacob Markstrom, as well as NHL insider Elliot Friedman links UC Saros to the Carolina Hurricanes, and we'll break it all down for you coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into it, just want to say that 79% of you guys watching this aren't subscribed, so if you're looking for a place for our daily NHL content, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road for 3,000 subscribers, and we're getting pretty close. We're at 2,700 and a bit of change now. We really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed already, get us a little bit closer to 3,000 by hitting that subscribe button. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic of the video today, which is Markstrom being dealt. And as we take a look here from James Nichols on Twitter, he says, according to a report, Jacob Markstrom was asked to waive his no-trade clause by the Flames and approved a trade to the Devils before the deal died ultimately. But we do also see here from Kevin Weeks, he says, in addition to the Flames, Markstrom, the Devils have had interest in Merzlikins as well. They remain on the hunt, shopping for help in goal. Curious to see where this ends up here in the Garden State. And as we take a look at Jacob Markstrom, obviously this guy has been a league vet here in the NHL for quite some time, having a pretty decent year in Calgary so far with a .916 save percentage through 33 starts with 17 wins, 14 losses. Mark, obviously, this is huge news coming here out of Calgary that, their star goaltender here in Jacob Markstrom is open to being dealt at the deadline to a contending team. And I think he's a perfect fit here for New Jersey if they come back around to this deal.
Yeah, the big thing when you do look in New Jersey, it seems like it's a repeating thing for the past couple of seasons that they're really just trying to find that goaltender to help them get over the hump, get consistent goaltending, and really just help them get to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, we've seen it all really start. Mackenzie Blackwood looked good, then he kind of struggled, went downhill. We've seen Vin Vanacek just kind of do the same thing. So they're really looking for this consistent goalie, and a guy like Markstrom is a guy that I would definitely look at if I was the New Jersey Devils. And like these reports said, that there was a deal that was almost in place that did fall through, and now it's kind of the awkward stalemate. We've seen Markstrom say that he is welcome to going to a new team. He wants to compete. He wants to win. The Flames are currently just a couple points out of a wild card spot. So it's kind of a weird situation for them, just trying to find the middle ground of, hey, we want to retool. We want to get as much as we can for a guy like Markstrom, bring up a guy like Dustin Wolf. And then the Flames can make a big offer, but it kind of makes me feel like maybe they wanted salary retained that wasn't going through. Or maybe the Flames wanted a couple more, say, picks or prospects, and the Devils weren't really interested in adding these certain names.
Yeah, I think it's a bit awkward here now. They're kind of just eyeing each other between, the Devils and Flames, but I do think that they will come back around and circle back on this deal here. And I really do think that this could lead to a blockbuster trade here between these two teams. I mean, Calgary has players that they are looking to get rid of besides Markstrom. When you look at a guy like Hanifin and Tanev, you could package either one of these guys up here with Markstrom and send them to New Jersey to kind of reshape their lineup going forward into this playoffs this year. And they do have the assets there to, make this trade. They have their first rounder for this year. They also have a few, nice prospects there, younger guys that Calgary could really use here in this retool to try to get them back, into the playoff race. Right now, they're only 3 points out, so it will be really interesting to see if they, make this trade because they do have goalies there in Darren Vladar and Dustin Wolf down in the HL that could fill this hole during, the time that Markstrom's absence as if he leaves to New Jersey. So I think that they won't be too far, gone here if this trade does go through because they'd still have some young talent that could fill these holes and get them back into the wild card spot.
The big thing is, I feel like the Flames, and this is off pure speculation, but I have seen people say that a lot of teams that are trying to make the deals with the Devils is they're asking for a guy like Dawson Mercer, which the Devils are almost not wanting to include in any packages at all. So maybe this is the situation where they get a call back around trade deadline time in just under a month and say, hey, let's work this out. Let's figure something out. Obviously, you want to deal Markstrom. You want to go into this retool. We need Markstrom. Let's hammer out a deal and let's get it done. I can say that I am almost certain that Markstrom's going to get moved. It's just a matter of time. And if the Flames are kind of sitting there like, hey, we want to see how far we can get to the playoff spot before a deadline, and we kind of want to see how much people will bid and try to start a bidding war maybe between two or three teams.
Yeah, and Markstrom right now, 34 years of age, has this year and two more left on his deal. So if if New Jersey does acquire this guy, I mean, you have him, for this season and two more, while New Jersey's in the hunt for the playoffs every year, then you have your goalie locked up over these next, 3 years to kind of help you try to get that Stanley Cup. And I think maybe the price that you'll have to pay here is a younger guy like Dawson Mercer or someone like this in their system. But, I mean, that's the price you had to pay to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think it's going to really come down to how committed this Devils team is to going for the cup this year and locking up, like a guy who said, the Markstrom that has multiple years left on his deal. I think a big hurdle for this would be that maybe the Devils are like, we don't want this full cap hit. Would you guys retain this much on it? And maybe the Flames are looking at this like, hey, we have money put into Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, Kadri. There's so many guys in this lineup making a decent price that they don't want to commit another burden of a salary through the next 3 seasons.
Yeah, definitely. And the other side of this here we've seen from Kevin Weeks is Elvis Merzlikins. I mean, this guy's more, of a cheaper option in my opinion than Jacob Markstrom. I mean, Jacob Markstrom's an established goaltender here. He's played well in the playoffs before. He's played well in the regular season throughout, almost his entire career. And, with Elvis Merzlikins here, I mean, he has shown to be a starter goaltender, has that potential in Columbus, but earlier this season we've seen him scratched and stuff like this. So there is a bit uncertainty when it surrounds Elvis Merzlikins. But if you had to pay a little bit extra to bring in a guy like Markstrom, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah, the big thing was Merzlikins. We've seen him request a trade out of Columbus. I do think they are actively working on something to go into this once again, another rebuild, retool, whatever you want to call it. So I think the big thing is whatever the Devils can get at the cheapest price. Obviously, Markstrom seems like the best option, but if you're paying a first and an extra prospect, then a guy like Merzlikins, maybe they do want to just take the chance on bringing in a young goalie that can kind of develop with this team, see what he can do, and at the worst case, you trade him off in a year or two, and you're kind of back into the same situation you are now.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to see what direction New Jersey goes in come trade deadline, but I really do think that they will circle back around here and get back involved in talks with Calgary and try to hammer this deal out, because I think this is the goaltender they need and the goaltender that they want for the future here for the next 3 years. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Let us know down below in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think they're going to go after Markstrom, or do you think they're going to go after a guy like Merzlikins? Let us know down below. We're going to get into our second topic of video here, which is UC Saros on the move. And as we take a look here from Elliot Friedman on his 32 Thoughts podcast, he discussed Nashville Predators goaltender UC Saros as a compelling trade target for teams in search of a starting goaltender. The belief is the Predators don't want to trade the goalie, but Friedman emphasized that the organization is actively seeking a top offensive player. Saros could potentially secure such a valuable return. They say while the name of Los Angeles center Quinton Byfield has been mentioned in connection with Saros, Friedman expressed skepticism about the likelihood of such a deal materializing, but he also said here the Carolina Hurricanes facing goaltending needs were also brought into the conversation. Friedman suggested that Martin Necas might be an appealing asset for the Predators in a potential trade scenario involving Saros. And as we take a look at UC Saros, 28-year-old goaltender has been a stud here in the NHL over the last few years for Nashville. So far this season, with a .902 save percentage through 41 starts to a 2019 record. I mean, Nashville right now, I believe, are 2 or 3 points out of that wild card spot. But as we take a look at the other end of this is Martin Necas, a guy who's been great for Carolina over these last couple of seasons. Just last season having 71 points in 82 games. But so far this season, 35 points, 46 games with 16 goals, 19 assists. Also, a great player in his own defensive zone with, 51 hits and 17 blocks so far this season. And Mark, this one really interests me a lot here because, I mean, UC Saros, a young goaltender, a guy who, could be a great addition for a, contending team like Carolina, and maybe giving up a former first round 12th overall selection in Martin Necas could be a great deal for both teams.
Yeah, see, the big thing I find with the Nashville is they're in such a weird spot. They have new management. They're close to a playoff race. So the big thing is, what direction are they going? We've seen just as the offseason, they went and signed Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shin. They picked up veterans. They still have Saros. They still have young guys. So it's kind of in a weird situation of what do they want to do? Do they want to make this little run here, see can the team build and go into next season with the same mindset? Or do they kind of want to trade off their starting goaltender, go look for the next one within the system, the draft, maybe free agency. So it's going to be quite interesting. But I do like the fact of the Hurricanes looking for another goalie. I mean, Antti Ranta hasn't been outstanding this year. Freddie Anderson has been dealing with injuries. So I think the inconsistency between the pipes is definitely what they need to address. I mean, just going into this off or coming into this season, I really did think they had one of the strongest teams in the NHL. They had a great forward group. You had Svechnikov, Kotkaniemi, who's playing in their bottom six, which could be a little better. But you have so many guys up forward, and their defense looked like one of the strongest. So seeing their goaltending kind of falter and struggle throughout the year, it seems like they want to address this, and they do want to reward the other players for playing well.
Yeah, I think, both this trade will help both teams out here because, I mean, Nashville it has a great roster as well. It's just they're not so, offensively gifted throughout their entire lineup as other teams. And bringing in a guy like Martin Nikash to kind of, solidify that second line center that they've been looking for could be a great option for them. And they have, I think in this deal they'd have to bring back a goaltender here, whether it'd probably be Antti Ranta. I think he could be, a solid goaltender for this Nashville team. And right now they are only, I think, 3 or 2 points out of that wild card spot. So maybe bringing in an offensive guy like Martin Nikash to provide some offense throughout this lineup could really be the boost and the jump start that this team needs to get back in the playoff race.
Yeah, the big thing is, I think the thing that everyone really needs to look at is over this next 30 days to really keep an eye on the standings. With a lot of these teams, I mean, we talked about Calgary and the Nashville Predators. They're teams that are so close and on the brink of being into a wild card spot that if they fall out and say lose the next 7 games, the next eight, whatever it might be, then they're going to be guaranteed sellers. But if you're getting to the trade deadline and they're on a 10 game winning streak, I think this is going to really determine if we see a guy like Saros be available or if they're going to be, buyers in the sense of grabbing a couple of depth players for maybe a fourth, fifth, or sixth and just seeing what they can do and seeing can they go on a bit of a Cinderella run.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this could be a great trade here for both teams because, like you said, Carolina could use a great goaltender here to kind of give them that jump that they need. They have had a couple runs in the playoffs in previous years, but I think having a solid goaltender back there in UC Saros could really get them over that hump this year and potentially, go on a great run here in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. And I'd love to see it because I always love the bunch of jerks down in Carolina. They're a fun team to watch. They're a fun team to cheer for come playoff time. And I think, adding just a couple additions, like you said, come trade deadline could really help this team. But let us know down below in the comment section, what do you think about potential UC Saros trade to Carolina? We'd love to hear from you. But we're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to our boy Rob. He says, Casey and Mark, I don't know if you remember, many years ago, the Leafs had a line called the Kid Line. I purpose a new Kid Line of Nyes, Minton, Cowan. That would be awesome. I think that would be such a fun line to watch next year. What do you think, Mark?
I think it would be fun. The only thing I'm worried about is maybe the lack of experience between them. But I think it could be really fun. And I could see this something that's definitely aligned within the next year, 2 years, depending on development. But I do think three of these guys, I mean, right now, Nyes is on the team. But I could see Minton and Cowan making this lineup a lot sooner than people are expecting.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. I mean, these guys are showing great prowess here in the juniors, and I really do think we'll see one or either both of them maybe make the jump next year to this NHL roster, and it'll be really fun to watch. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road for 3,000 subscribers, and if you're not subscribed already, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoy the NHL, make sure to check out this video. It's popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I'm your host, KC, alongside my co-host, Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.